I just spent the last 15 minutes of my life looking up statistics that would back up this claim, but I can't find anything. So you're gonna have to trust me on this. The Zerg versus Zerg matchup in StarCraft 2 has on average the shortest games out of all the matchups in the game, as far as game duration goes. I really feel like that is true. I've watched so many games, I've played so many games over the years, and I feel like Zerg versus Zerg has a tendency to end very early. Even at the highest level, I think the average game is probably like 5, maybe 6 minutes long, just because there's usually someone going for some sort of timing attack, maybe somebody going for a link flood, early game cheese. There's just so many ways to accidentally lose, right? So what I've got for you today is a game of top level StarCraft 2, a Zerg versus Zerg that somehow, some way lasts close to half an hour. That doesn't really happen very often, so I'm excited to find out exactly what ended up going down. Now, once again, spotting right here at the bottom right-hand corner of the map, we have Dark, okay? I've cast a lot of Dark over the last couple of weeks, maybe the last couple of months. His opponent, though, a channel favorite. I mean, Dark also a channel favorite, so I don't think anybody really minds, but I may be covering him a little bit too frequently. Anyways, spotting right here in the top left-hand corner, playing with the blue Zerg drones, we have an absolute channel favorite, and she goes by the name of Scarlett. Now, okay, I was gonna say, that intro was rather long. There could already be Zerglings running across the map pretty much at this point in the game. None of that is going on though, as both players decide to go for a hatchery first, a spawning pool, as well as a quick gas geyser. Alrighty, so there are definitely macro games of Zerg versus Zerg. They're just very uncommon, right? I don't cast a lot of Zerg versus Zerg on the channel in general, mostly because, well, it's a very cheesy matchup, and, well, it can be fun to watch, especially if it's like a big tournament match. Yeah, generally speaking, I think, the average game of Zerg vs. Zerg is just not that interesting, right? At some point, one of the players makes a mistake, Zerglings manage to get into the base, maybe somebody, well, rolls a Baneling into the opponent's Zerglings, maybe there's a couple of roaches that were unexpected, and bada bing, bada boom, the game is over. So, we'll see what ends up going down over here. Both players opting to go for a standard macro opener so far. So Gresvan is probably the most average map we have in StarCraft 2 right now. This seems to be the map where most players feel comfortable playing macro. Obviously, there are bigger maps in the current map pool, like for example Altitude, but usually this seems to be a pretty straightforward macro map. It's also due to the fact that you have this base over here as a third, you have the one right over here as a third, but you also have that forward expansion. And while usually, yeah, when you leave the natural, you can go left and right for another base, going forward is actually kind of cool. It's not usually a map feature that we have very often, but I actually really quite like it. It really allows players to go, especially for Terran and Protoss, to go for 5 bases relatively easily. And if I were to make a guess, that's probably also the reason why this game will go on a little bit longer, but I guess only time will tell. So far though, identical builds here from both players. We've got Baneling nests at the front, both players opting to go for the triangular third base. And we're, well, gonna see a couple Zerglings here. You can see a small deviation with the amount of workers that are being squeezed out and the amount of Zerglings that are being made. You want to make sure you have enough Zerglings so you don't die. Unless you want to go for a very aggressive push, of course, then you'll be over-making them. But yeah, both players just making enough to get by, right? You want to be able to, at the very least, produce a couple Banelings at home if you absolutely need them. Interestingly enough, Scarlett is opting to go for the Baneling nest inside of the main base. Normally, we see that Baneling nest as part of the front. So Dark actually making a couple of defensive Banelings here, maybe assuming that that Baneling nest of the opponent was indeed produced a little bit sooner, and therefore, you know, you never know exactly when you're about to get hit. One of the problems for Zerg versus Zerg, or one of the quote-unquote problems, is that all of these units, they deal a lot of damage, but they have very little health. And because of that, it's very easy to lose. And while you do get more vision in this matchup than in the other matchups of StarCraft 2, right? Because the Overlords obviously can fly, at least in the earlier stages. You can kind of just put them around the map. Units can still very easily sneak by. Anyways, the Zergling Baneling phase has commenced. This is where the average game ends. Especially on the ladder, this is where the average game ends. It is very easy to accidentally run all of your Zerglings into a Baneling. Look, here's a Baneling flank coming in from Dark, trying to be as obnoxious as possible. Good movement right there, though, by Scarlett. She's going to take a lot of damage, but it takes 2 of those Banelings to finish off a mineral line, and Scarlett just sort of accepting some damage right there on her drones. And in the end, well, 0 workers have gone down. This is what I mean, though. If this would be your average game of, like, Diamond League, Zerg versus Zerg, we would see at least 30 Zerglings dead at this point. You gotta be on point with your queen positioning, your queen target firing, your Zergling splits, your Baneling splits, but also having enough vision, right? So notice right here that Scarlett has Overlord's on the other side of the map. She's got vision on the other side of the map too to see if any other Zerglings are running past that location. But she also has vision out front to see if there's any additional banelings moving forward. And while that's all very obvious, it's very easy to tell, right? It's very easy to explain. It turns out it's rather complex to actually execute. Alright, so much quicker lair here from Scarlett, and that is that nice advantage that she got just now in the earlier stages of this game. Being the defender usually allows you a bigger economy. Oh, love that little move right there. Good zoning with the banelings. Although in the end, okay, still a good trade right there for Dark. He is forced to back off. He wanted to get those Zerglings into the opponent's main base. Anyways, because you're the defender, usually you are on the drone button for a little bit longer. And that now allowed Scarlett to get a little bit faster tech as well. So, are you kidding me, Lowko? Okay, we're gonna go back and we just pretend that, this little, well, we'll just watch this. I just really wanted to look at this little skirmish once again, okay? It totally isn't because of the fact that apparently 9 drones ended up going down at the third base. Thought I was doing a really good job observing the game so far. I've been trying to work on my observing skills. I'm trying to be less jittery with the camera movement. Anyways, turns out while I was staring at that spire in the main base, Scarlett didn't see it, I didn't see it. She ends up losing 9 drones right over there at the third base. Mineral line. Okay, so spire going up in the main base though. Losing 9 drones definitely sucks. And even though Scarlett has been on the back foot the entire early game so far as like, you know, being the defender goes, very soon, as soon as the spire is done, she's gonna be able to grab that map control, and that is super nice. In the meantime, on the other side of the map, we have Dark setting himself up for a relatively defensive game right now. Yeah, the Glial Reconstitution has not started up yet, which is a bit of a surprise because Lair is done. And without the Roach speed upgrade, what exactly are you going to be able to do? 8 Overlords are coming up. I almost feel like this is a mistake. So he starts up +2 before he goes for the Roach speed. Yeah, so there we go. I think that actually may have been an error right there from Dark. So, really, we hate the Baneling Nest that much. Okay, well, the era for the Ling Bane is over. Apparently, we're gonna just shut it down, make the opening a little bit bigger so units can squeeze out of the natural a bit easier as well. But that certainly does seem, yeah, like Dark doesn't want to transition anywhere towards Banelings anymore, right? It doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. Anyways, the Overseer Scout in the main base did reveal, there's still a little changeling over there too, that there is indeed a Spire, and 7 Mutalisks are coming up right here for Scarlett. So this is where the game is gonna get a little bit more comfortable. It's very easy to accidentally lose a mineral line, but right now I don't think that's really gonna be as much of a problem anymore. Scarlett's got vision out on all of the important locations on the map. She's gonna be able to go for that forward base here as well. And she's got some vision over here in the bottom left-hand corner too. And one nice advantage of Mutas, right, is not only can you start harassing your opponent's mineral lines, you can maybe pick off a couple of their structures. Usually, after you get deflected, which seems to be the case right now, you can start pushing back at the very least some of those Overlords. And while that does sound relatively minor, so I like the fact here that Dark decided to go for very quick Overlord speed, allows him to save most of those bad boys. Yeah, those Mutas are still really good to grab map control. So if you look right now on the minimap, Scarlett has a lot of vision. Dark, however, well, he's mostly in the dark. Funny, Lowko. Thanks, guys. Anyways, large amount of roaches here. Yeah, Scarlett tested the waters with a couple of her own roaches as well, but not getting a whole lot of intel. Love that Overseer Scout over here, though. So the Overseer Scout is fantastic because you can figure out whether or not the opponent is gonna double down on Mutalisks. Very often in the Zerg versus Zerg matchup, when it does get to this point in the game, a lot of Zerg players will, they transition straight away from the Mutalisks after the very first initial batch to, nice transfusion, to, for example, Lurkers or a really quick Hive or, you know, something else, right? So you need to know what you're playing against. And it turns out in this particular game, Scarlett is going for, well, a lot of Mutalisks. She's doubling down as she's going into the +1 flyer upgrade. And now we finally see an Infestation Pit as well. So this is... You know how, like, in Terran versus Terran, you sometimes have one player going for an infantry-based army and the other player is going for a mechanical-based army, so you have bio versus mech? This is the Zerg equivalent of that. We have, like, Mutaling Bane versus Roach Hydra. And what's cool is that usually these transitions are also very different. So we just had 4 drop alerts on the minimap. Or on the production tab, rather. Where are they? Oh, they're right over here. Okay. We don't have overlord speed yet, so it's going to take a moment for them to get across. But usually, this type of army here from Scarlett will transition towards different hive units than the one that Dark will transition into. So, Dark going for a full-on defensive approach after being the aggressor in the early game. Well, he's forced into this direction, I suppose. Transitioning already towards the hive, as well as the lurker. So lurkers are fantastic, of course, when it comes to, well, shutting down those Zerglings and those Banelings, but you still need something to deal with the Mutalisks. Okay, nicely done right there. One of these will end up going down, and that's going to make those Zergling run-bys a little bit more terrifying. The most common answer to mass Muta is the Viper. So the Viper has a skill called Parasitic Bomb. Parasitic Bomb deals 120 damage in area of effect, and Mutas have 120 life. So, very nice ability, especially when the units are clumped up. I think Scarlett may have spotted this, though. Yeah, she must have noticed, even though she doesn't have vision just yet, she must have noticed a little dark background there. Haha! Again, great pun, Lowko. Anyways, you must have noticed that there were a bunch of units going around. Still, this is the first time that Dark is able to strike back in quite a bit. He's been playing defensively for a while. He's been doing a great job at holding on at home. But he hasn't really been able to, yeah, keep the others on the other side of the map, right? Occupied at all. In the meantime, we have a big Zergling drop headed towards the main base. Baneling rollby set up as well. There are a couple of lurkers ready to defend, but there's a lot of action all of a sudden everywhere around the map. Okay, Zerglings are unloaded. These Banelings, they will connect. Well, I mean, there's +2, but there's already some armor upgrades. Oh, no, actually, she's still at +1. Okay, well, that's too bad. +2 is actually not finished yet. These roaches try their very best to finish this off. Zerglings right now in the main base. They will also get pushed back quite easily. Okay. So far, I gotta say, well, like I said, I've covered a lot of Dark over the last few months. And usually, he seems to be the aggressor. But I am very impressed with the way that he's defending at home in this game. There we go, by the way. Lurker spines coming up, that's some additional range. And in the meantime, we have a Ultralisk Cavern on the other side of the map. So, Mutaling Bane into Ultras versus Roach Hydra into Lurker Viper. I'm assuming, yeah, the Vipers at this point have some energy as well. Scarlett must have spotted them, or at the very least she should know that they are out. Well, now she's got a changeling over there too. This becomes a difficult game to play though. The problem is, right? Cost efficiency wise, even though Dark doesn't have that much economy, he trades way better. He's gonna trade way better than Scarlett ever will. Scarlett, of course, has got the eco lead. So far, Dark has lost more stuff, but I think as time goes by, that Hydra Lurker Viper based army is gonna be amazing. And that forward 5th is also really good here, because that's a relatively easy one to acquire. Roachling drop over here. Once again, a couple drones end up going down, but at this point, I don't think that's as big of a deal anymore. No detection available though, so that one lurker over there on the ground, 14 kills already, probably gonna get 15 kills momentarily. Quite a few drones go down, but losing drones at the 12.5 minute mark. Ooh, there's the Parasitic Bomb. Is the split gonna be on point? Scarlett, you're gonna have to split those units. It is so easy to accidentally slip that up. Okay, well, pretty decent crisis management, but this is really the first group of mutas going down here. And I can imagine that after the age of the Ling Bane is over, as we saw earlier on already, right now it is going to be the end for those mutas. You really can't reliably make them anymore. Only 7 mutas have gone down at this point, but those Vipers are just going to get more and more cost efficient. Then again though, 24 drones is not bad, right? 24 drones is nice, but Dark can just hold down the drone button at this point and reproduce a whole lot more. That being said, this hatchery over here, well, it got killed earlier. This hatchery over here also relatively low in hit points. So, yeah, Scarlett is going to have to be careful. She really wants to dive on another one of those hatcheries, but you can't really do so at the cost of half of your Muta clump. Anyways, Ultras are coming up. Ultras are a little bit better now with the new multiplayer balance patch because they are smaller. Doesn't sound like a big deal, but they're going to have a much easier time getting into the opponent's base. But it turns out the mass spore crawler here at the front is actually serving another purpose as well. This is almost creating like a funnel over here, right? For those Ultras to go in a single formation, right? They're going to just go one at a time, and those Lurkers are going to have a field day. Lurkers are really good against armored units like Ultras. So I am liking this more and more right here for Dark. Okay, oh my god, we're gonna dive on top of all of those Vipers. Apparently the Mutas are being traded out in favor of the Vipers, but good transfusions right there by Dark, keeping a lot of those units alive. Still Vipers? Okay. 5 of the Vipers end up going down there. A couple of Vipers right now available as well for Scarlett as she throws up Blinding Clouds. Blinding Clouds do affect Lurkers, so that now allows those Ultras to go to absolute town, but there's no detection available. Now an Overseer is trying to come in from the back, but obviously those Spore Crawlers are going to be able to, well, snipe it out of the sky as well. Okay, Dark, once again, manages to survive. Scarlett's transitioning though. She's going straight into the +2 missile here. So even though, yeah, we could have gone +3 melee, she decides to go for the +2 missile. And that's an indicator to me that she doesn't really want to stick around on this sort of unit comp for all too much longer. And I think that's really smart. We saw the units lost earlier, but it's already been flipped upside down. More importantly maybe though, Dark now also has 5 base. He's got 5 base and he's at the point where he's got his ultimate unit composition. Great Aspire, by the way, coming up for Scarlett, which I honestly don't like all too much. A couple of Roaches here being annoying as well for Dark, who already softened up this base quite a bit earlier. Okay, yeah, no, you're hunting for units that aren't over here. How many Mutas even remain? Only 9 of them. I think if Dark targets the hatchery, he may very well be able to get it. That kind of hurts. Nicely done. That kind of hurts right there. Parasitic bombs on Overseers, Vipers, and all the rest of it. It's kind of nice, I suppose, but those Roaches, I think... okay, well, the Banelings are going to try and maybe kill the hatch. Okay, they did kill the hatch. That's good. I don't think the Roaches really matter that much anymore at this point in the game. Yeah, those Ultras are going to have to back off. Maybe because they're smaller, actually. In this matchup, it's not that big of a buff, right? Because they also clump up and they take more damage because of it. Anyways... Roaches, yeah, we're not going to see those anymore here from Dark. So after Ling Bane, after Roach Ravager, now we're going into Hydra Lurker Viper exclusively. So 19 additional Hydras, if I'm not mistaken, on the production tab. And that's going to be pretty sweet. Or did I see that for Scarlett, maybe? Scarlett also making a lot of Hydras at the same time. Sometimes I get the production tabs a little bit confused. Either way, excellent defensive play so far here by Dark. Scarlett has quite a few of those units left over, but they seem to serve no purpose anymore. They can't really find an angle where they can get a lot of damage in. One thing though that's still really nice for Scarlett is that she's had map control for the better part of this game. And even though there has been some roach harassment here and there, she's been mining more than the opponent. So if you look right here at the income advantage over the course of the last 10 minutes, well, it's very clear that Scarlett has been mining more, and you can see right here the bank at the bottom of the screen. It is also significantly better right here for the Canadian Zerg. Bailing drop in the main base. Dark's just showing off at this point. He had Lurkers there, but stutter stepping the Hydras apparently was the way to go. Yeah, these Ultras, they're awkward right now, right? Like, where are you gonna send them? Maybe going for, I don't know, a Nidus in the main base or the natural would be a good option. Like, you need to throw those units somewhere. Because right now, they're not really serving much of a purpose. The Roach Warren itself is being confused, it is being consumed right now as well by those Vipers. Dark, in the meantime, though, has secured another base all the way at the top right-hand corner of this map. Usually a difficult section of the map to acquire, but it might be time to actually kill some of those Evos as well. He's been doing a really, really good job at the defensive game here. Okay, so... Scarlett is making a similar move, right? So she's going Hydra Lurker Viper right now as well. Hydra Lurker Viper is good against everything. We have a Greater Spire. The thing is, Brute Lords are nice, but they can get abducted. Okay, Ultras. Ooh, Ultras. Yeah, no, you guys are gonna get destroyed. No way. No way. 10 additional Overlords right now for Dark. That seems like a mistake. Yeah, 36 Overlords in total is definitely more than you need, but I guess... the plan is to just make a whole lot of Overseers. What Dark is trying to do... oh, he's even killing his own Roaches and Ravagers now. What Dark is trying to do is just make his ultimate unit composition. Some good abductions over there, kill whatever you can. Parasitic bombs on clumped up Overseers here too. Units are exchanging sides left, right, and center. Pretty good splits right there though by the South Korean Zerg player as he's trying to keep his Vipers alive. Okay, well in the end, a lot of them will still end up going down. A couple transfuses would have been nice. Scarlett wants to push up towards the high ground, but obviously the high ground advantage is significant. Even if it's just vision, pushing into this location on the map is really difficult because you need detection to actually see the opponent's lurkers. But as long as there's a lot of spore crawlers available, you're not going to get it. Okay. So, Dark has got 69 workers. That's quite nice. But I wouldn't mind seeing maybe a couple less at this point. Maybe add on even more spore crawlers and really double down on the ultimate army. So Hydra Lurker Viper is incredibly hard to beat. We have 9 Vipers right now available here for Dark. Scarlett has a lot of money in the bank. But, I don't know. The position right here for Scarlett is not as confident, right? So, one big difference, I guess, as well to note is the amount of spore crawlers here. So 26 spores here for Dark, only 3 available right now for Scarlett, and that's mostly for that detection against those burrowed roaches, I assume. So I guess her plan is currently to try and bleed the opponent out on 6 base. Now 6 base is a lot. Hey, the Ultras, by the way, have gone inside of the Nidus Worm. I think that's a really great choice. Sending them into the main base is gonna be difficult to stop. Yeah, most of the army right now for Dark is in the center of the map, as both players are once again exchanging wherever they can. Nidus Worm. Time to start popping those Ultras out. Not bad at all. Yeah, Vipers don't really do anything against Ultras. Still though, that one Lurker is having a grand old time. Getting so many kills. Maybe if you can combine this together with like a push at the front, I would have liked this a little bit better. Okay, let's look at the resources lost. Starting to look better and better right here for Dark. Abductions, okay, really wonderful work. Bringing all of those lurkers off the opponent into your own lurkers. Scarlett doesn't have a proper way to advance here. Okay, I guess the lurkers here from the high ground. Yeah, they can indeed hit those drones on the low ground, so that's kind of cute. Is that the hero lurker, by the way, from the main base? Yeah, 23 kills now. It must be. Couple of lurkers now being obnoxious here as well by Dark. Dark just trying to harass wherever he can. And this is really clever. So it takes about 10 minutes or so to mine out a full base. Dark has acquired this one a little while ago. Now he never really saturated it very quickly, but we're getting to the point where he's essentially mined out, I want to say like 5 bases fully at this point, right? As far as minerals go. There's still a little bit of juice remaining. Scarlett has been trying her best to mine more bases than the opponent, but yeah, the bank is nice, but you're really gonna have to match them in army as well. So we have 15 Vipers, my god, 15 Vipers? I don't think I've ever seen that many Vipers before, but anyways, Scarlett going for 15 Vipers, allowing me a beautiful screenshot right there for the video thumbnail. I was thinking maybe the Ultras popping out of the Nidus Worm would look cool, but 15 Vipers definitely makes for a better video thumbnail. Thank you, Scarlett. That being said, I like this game, even though this is a bit weird, right? But I like this game more and more right now for Dark, who is playing this like it's Terran Mech, right? He's slow pushing forward, spreading the creep, moving the static defense, trying to take one base at a time. How many... Oh, he's got no Hydras. The army right here from Dark is literally just Vipers and Lurkers. That's all he's got. Well, and Spore Crawlers, I guess. You don't want to underestimate the strength of those Spore Crawlers. Okay. We should see some abductions. There we go. One at a time. But the Vipers can't move very far. The Vipers can't move very far because of the fact that you, well, have those Spore Crawlers over here. Then again, you can't really move too far here as Dark either because, yeah, then your own Vipers get abducted. Blinding Cloud over there on the way out to at the very least try and keep some of these alive. That exchange was pretty dang good right there for Scarlett. Parasitic Bomb as well just to drive it home. Okay. Scarlett's losing more, but she still has over 10,000 resources in the bank. Apparently now, though, Dark has decided, yo, I've only got +1 melee, but I did get Adrenal Glands. It's time for me to send out some Zergling counterattacks, and I actually really do like that move. Zerglings just being obnoxious, backstabbing wherever possible. It's gonna create, well, a lot of chaos on the side of Scarlett. Yeah, maybe a couple more Zerglings, or a couple more Zergling upgrades rather, a little bit earlier on would have been nice. Dark is finished up 2-2 at this point, so that's sweet. Both players though going into mass lurker right now. Mass Viper. Okay. So, spores are also detectors, so you can't see those burrowed lurkers. That is really nice. Yep. Once again, we just see abduction after abduction after abduction. Parasitic bomb as well to try and throw the opponent off. This guy is basically sacrificing himself, going very far forward. Vipers have quite a bit of health, but they do clump up, right? So you gotta be very careful. How many queens do we have? Only 3 queens and 1 queen on the other side of the map, so not really a lot of transfusions. That means that these Vipers are gonna be low HP, and a follow-up Parasitic Bomb may very well be the end of that. There's an army of spore crawlers, an army of changelings moving forward as well. Okay. Scarlett's done a good job, though, denying this base right over here. I think what she should do is start up an army of spores. Like, we need these bases connected and just a dozen spores over here at the front of every base. Just more static defense in general. I think that's, like, it's honestly becoming a little bit worrisome right now, because she's been on the offensive for basically the better part of this game. For probably, like, if I were to make a guess, the last 18 minutes. But Dark can really start contesting this army quite well right now. And if Dark can burrow his lurkers in, like, an intersection on this map, like, say, for example, right over here, if his lurkers can somehow, some way get in this position, Scarlett has no way of breaking that. You really need spores to prevent this army from pushing forward. Scarlett refusing that for now, though, probably wanting to spend that additional mineral count on, well, reinforcements instead, which makes a lot of sense, but mineral count is nice. It's the gas count that really, really matters at this point. Okay, Nidus Worm once again in the main base, but the hero, oh no, that's not the hero lurker. That's the hero lurker right over there. 23 kills. Okay, we have a big exchange over here up north once again. I thought the hero lurker was more important, though. I'm sure you agree. Okay. Changelings are being destroyed. Dark's pushing forward. Nidus Worm over here. This doesn't do much anymore. Yeah, I guess it's APM, right? That is being used up right here on the side of Dark. Both players very quick. 468 right now on average for Scarlett. 419 for Dark. But here we go. Okay, so this is the first time that Dark properly makes a move. He's been sitting back for a long time, and he decides to, exactly like I was suggesting, man. I sound so smart in today's cast. Holy shit. He decides to move very deep to try and get into a location where he's now effectively splitting the army in blue. Blinding Clouds would be really nice right here for Scarlett, but Spore Crawlers would be so nice to have over here, so you have the detection. Scarlett doesn't really see exactly what's located over here. In the meantime, okay, there's a little bit of aggression over here as well. Lurker's trying to be obnoxious, but Dark has now successfully sliced Scarlett's bases in half. These Lurkers, yeah, they can move a little bit further forward, and I love that. If you can force the opponent out of their own natural expansion, the natural and the main, that's where all the tech is located. Dark just made a killer move over here, and suddenly, this is not an army that Scarlett can properly contest. 31 Lurkers versus only 8. Nidus Worm in the natural, but that feels like a desperation attempt, and Scarlett, she leaves the game with more than 13,000 resources in the bank. There's just no way for her to spend all of those resources on an army that can kill all of those lurkers.